Hello, everyone, and welcome to Hope. My name is Tammy Lynn Connors. This is my YouTube channel and podcast, helping other people evolve. My mission and vision with Hope is just to help someone that feels like they're at home struggling alone. My content is usually interviewing people that have been through a struggle and have gotten to a strength. And some days you get just me, and today is that day. My only hope is that maybe somebody out there will hear this today and they will know that they can get out of bed and they're not alone in their struggles. Today, I'm going to talk a little bit about forgiveness. Forgiveness is a big word, big word. People will come up to you and say, "Well, you need to forgive them." Well, you should just forgive them. Just forgive them. And I get it. I've been through a lot of things in my life that I've had to give forgiveness. And the reason why I've had to give forgiveness is honestly for myself. And throughout that process, I've learned that not only just forgiving that person, but it detached me from that person. Because here's the thing, if I'm constantly thinking about the hurt that someone did to me, or the lie that someone did to me, or whatever it was that somebody did to me to hurt my feelings, to upset me, to make me feel less than, to physical abuse that I went through, to emotional abuse I've been through, if I hang on to what that person did, then it's hurting my heart, but it's also keeping me attached to that person. And I didn't really realize that till I was listening to something earlier today. And it was like they had said that this person that I listened to, that they had forgiven someone that had killed their mother and their brother, that they said out loud, "I forgive them, I forgive them." And for 7 years later, even though the forgiveness was there, they were still attached to it. They were attached to looking up this prisoner's name, looking up what's going on in the prison they're in, all of these things because they were still attached to that person. And finally, one day, she decided to really detach and really forgive. And she said in her speech, it really made sense to me. Like she said, "I forgive him for what he did. I know that he had issues, and that's why this happened." All of these things, but she never really let it go. And she actually wrote a letter. And told this young man, while he was still a young man because he was 17 when he went to prison, and this was 7 years later, he was 24. She wrote a letter telling him how she felt, that she forgave him in her heart. And she said she mailed off the letter, and it was like this light just lifted from her, and she knew that she never had to address him again. She never had to speak to him again. She never had to do anything again. But that letter gave her the release and detached her from the situation. And it really made me think about forgiveness, because for years I did the same thing. I would be like, my boy's dad, "I forgive him. I forgive him. He didn't know any different. That's just who he was. I forgive him. I forgive him." As I go through the healing process of life, and I have these triggers and I have these traumas that I go through, and I'm like, did I really forgive him? Or did I just say, "That's it, I forgive him. He was drunk, he was high. I forgive him." No, I never healed me. And the forgiveness had to come from where I was at. What was I doing with that trauma that I went through? The physical abuse, the emotional abuse, the mental abuse, just the abuse in general for years that I went through in my life. And I never ever really healed, and I never really forgave like I should. So I've been listening to a lot of things right now, just in general, of life happenings, people, what they've been through, how they've gotten through it. I've listened to this book, and it's called The Choice, and it is so powerful. And it was written by an 85-year-old woman, Eva. I can't think of her last name right now, but it's called The Choice, and her name is Dr. Eva Edner, I think her last name is, but not positive on that. I probably should have looked that up first. But me, squirrel, I don't do all those things until I'm on here talking. Anyways, the book is called The Choice, and it's really good. I think I heard it being interviewed on Oprah or somebody like that years ago. And the book talks about her life. Now, she was in a concentration camp during World War II under Hitler. Both her parents were killed. Her and her sister were in the concentration camps together for 2 years. But all of this stuff that she's went through and a lot of more trauma throughout her life. And she's talking about forgiveness. And as I'm listening to this woman that has been beaten and almost died and in piles of bodies that were dead and all of this stuff, and she learned how to forgive. It said that she went back to where she was at and where the whole family was taken. And when she got back there, man, she was angry and she was going to give it to him, and Hitler was going to be this and that, and she's going to burn down the house that Hitler lived in and all of these things. And then she realized, what is that going to do? If I burn down the house that Hitler lived, she's going to end up in prison, right? So you think about these things. And she said this, and this was very powerful to me. And I think that it should be very powerful to a lot of people. You can live to avenge the past. You can live in the prison of the past, or you can let the past be a springboard that helps you reach the life you want now. So, throughout my trauma that I've been through and the things that I've went through and the forgiveness that I thought I had given, I've learned that I have to heal from those things in order to be a better Tammy so I can be a better light in the world, right? So, I could sit back and say, like I said, I forgive, I forgive, I forgive, I forgive. Oh, yeah, forget it. I forgive them. I forgive them. I forgive them. But did I really? And here's what really came from that to me. When it came to the forgiveness of my boy's dad, or it came to the forgiveness of my father for the abuse that he did to my mother and my sister and I, or it came to the forgiveness of my stepfather who never physically abused us, but mentally abused us. That forgiveness, that hurt, did I ever really forgive? No. I just said, it's good. It's all right. I'm still alive. I won't let that happen to me again. That's not true, because then the triggers start coming and then I get upset at this person because they're doing something and it's not necessarily hurting me, but it reminds me, there's a trigger there that reminds me of how my dad treated me, or how my ex treated me, or how my stepdad treated me. Just one word, and that can trigger. And then I'm like, bam, right? Then I'm like, blah, 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 in their face, or maybe not even saying it to them, but in my heart going, I can't believe they just hurt me like that. And they didn't do anything, really. It was just that little trigger. And you guys, if we're not healing, those little triggers become great big triggers. And then the next thing you know, we are back into a place that we don't want to be, a place of mad, a place of sad, a place of why me, a place of pity, And so what has to happen, I believe, with my heart, is that we have to forgive ourselves. We have to forgive ourselves. I have to forgive Tammy Lynn Connors. I allowed that abuse, and I know it's probably going to be a big thing here that people are going to say, you live in it and living in it, and we choose that. And I know there's so many aspects of all of it. So I'm not saying that the years of abuse that I put up with wasn't because every day I got up and I was like, yeah, today he's going to beat me and that's okay. That wasn't it. I would wake up and be like, maybe today's going to be a different day. Maybe today will be the day that he changes. That was always my hope. Just that one day he'll change. From the beginning of the relationship, I was going to be the one that was going to change him. So as I went through life, I had to learn to forgive myself. I had to forgive Tammy for allowing it. I didn't know any different at the time, but now I can sit back and be like, wow, I let that happen to me. And then I'd be angry at myself. But I can't be angry at myself because that's all I knew at the time. And I think that's a big perspective that people need to know, is that's all you knew at the time. I've listened to 3 different things in the last week and I talk about synchronicity, right? And so the one audible that I'm listening to, it's a man that's in prison in San Quentin and he's on death row. he did do an armed robbery, and got sentenced in prison. And then one of the prison guards got killed. He was in his cell at the time. Anyways, long story short, he's on death row. Oprah Winfrey read his book, and he's on her book club and all of this. But anyways, so listening to this book of this man, he lived, both his parents were heroin addicts. He lived in this house that was a trap house. And if you guys don't know what a trap house is, it's where they go and they do they sell the drugs, they do the drugs. People flopped all over the place. He said him and his brothers and sisters, they had like a mattress that they would pull out of the bedroom. They pull it in the middle of the living room and jump on it like it was a trampoline, right? And I mean, the house smelled like urine, just all of this stuff. But as a young kid, he didn't know any different. He didn't know if the person next door's house was the same. That's what he thought it was. That's how all kids lived. This is just how we live. I just listened to a girl today, a little bit on TikTok, and her dad had her locked up, and she could only go from her bedroom to the kitchen and the bathroom, and that was it, and go to school and church. How did she know that the other kids didn't live like that? We don't know. And so when we're judging people and looking at the way that they're living, maybe they don't know any different. Forgiveness is hard. We have a lot in life that goes on that we're like, whoa. And at the end of the day, I never walked up to my son's father. I never walked up to him and said, listen, I forgive you for knocking my head against the wall. I forgive you for all the mean and nasty things you said to me. I forgive you for telling me I was never going to be anything. I forgive you for telling me that if I left you, you were going to kill me. I forgive you for not being there for our kids. No, I never went up to that man and said that. But in my heart, I told everyone I forgave him. I forgave him because of whatever reasons. I forgave him. He was locked up in prison. I forgave him, right? He got out of prison. I just never communicated with him. I forgave him. But honestly, I really just forgave him because I had to forgive myself for allowing that to happen to me. And once I forgave myself for that, it's like a whole thing is lifted. I fortunately, unfortunately, I don't know which way you want to look at this. I don't ever have to face him. He passed away a few years ago of a massive heart attack. And they said with his heart, he wasn't very old. They said his heart was so badly broken that they couldn't fix it. And that made me think about a broken heart, how bad it is, and what he did to people. And I know that inside that man there was a good person because I saw it, right? I saw that good person. That's why I stayed with him because I saw that little glimmer of hope that he could be a good person. But at the same time, he was such an evil person and he hurt so many people. But I think that his hurt he never could heal from it. He could never heal whatever hurt him as a child or whenever in his life that damaged him so bad. He could never heal from that. And it just continued to go on into drugs and alcohol and prison and the life that will lead to. And when they said to his sister that his heart was so broken that there was no way they could fix it. Wow. Can you imagine? And it was all the years that he did all the things and kept things inside. So keeping things inside is only going to hurt your heart. Get out, find somebody to talk to. You might not be able to. I mean, I don't know. Like forgiveness is a big, big, big word. It's huge, right? However many letters it is, it's big. It's not like a, but like I say, what if is a big word too. If it's a really big word. So here we're going through life and the forgiveness part, right? How do you forgive for so many things? And I know that like there's a lot of times in life and that we lose somebody, okay? Somebody dies. And so this is big, right? Um I lost my baby at 6 months old to SIDS, right? My little baby. Um I lost my bonus son in a car accident in 2012, and he was an amazing young man. And at that point, and anybody would be lying if they said this didn't happen, you get mad. You get mad at God. Like, why? Why did this little 6-month-old have to go and this idiot walking the street did not? Right? Don't I'm speaking truth here of how those things can happen, right? You're like, why did this little baby have to die and not this person that's evil that you think? Or why did Nicholas have to pass away in a car accident and their dad is still walking this planet Earth, right? Those are the things that, wow, right? And then you're angry at God. You're like, God, why? And my friends, here's the thing. There is a plan and a purpose for each one of us here on earth. No matter if it's the baby that passed away, no matter if it's the 50-year-old on the street corner. There's a purpose here, and when our purpose is done, that is when we go. And it's so hard to wrap our head around that. But what I had to do is know that God, my God, that's who I believe, you guys, is God. I always tell everybody on here, whatever it is, your faith is, your universe, whatever you believe, you believe. I believe God. I believe that God, my little baby, had just a short little purpose here on life. And maybe that purpose was for me. Maybe that purpose was to show me that I can get through anything. Maybe that's what it is. I don't really know the whole purpose of that. I don't really know, but I do know that the little 6.5 months that I had him here was amazing. And do I know that one day I'll see him again? Yes. So through my anger of that I was mad at God, that I'm angry because it's not fair, I had to forgive. I had to be like, God, I know that you have a big purpose for all of us here on this earth. There is such a purpose for all of us. And saying, oh, I forgive you, God, I had to forgive my heart. I had to be like, Tammy, don't blame God. Heal your heart from your hurt. Heal your heart from your hurt. My heart heals every day. Hurts will happen to you every day. But what I've learned is how to heal, how to meditate, how to forgive. I think about it a lot. Believe me, every day I don't walk outside and the world is kind to me. I get hurt too still. I get hurt, but now I have a different look at people. I have a different compassion for people. I have a little bit more softness for people. Not that I let people walk all over me because I don't do that. But I do look at people differently. I do look at people like, especially doing my interviews, I've learned so much about people's life before when they were a child, when they were growing up, the things they went through that has made them the way that they are today. And everybody doesn't go and get help and counseling and healing and all of that, which I wish everybody would. But what I've learned is compassion. Like if I see somebody that's struggling with something and I have a conversation with them and we start digging deeper, we learn where that hurt and that pain started and why they allow it. And then we work on them forgiving themselves for allowing it, because I think that that's a big thing. We have to forgive ourselves. And as we forgive ourselves through life, man, the world gets so much better. The world gets so much better. You have compassion for people. You have empathy for people, but you don't let people walk all over you. I just wanted to get on here and talk a little bit about forgiveness. It's just been on my heart for a while now. And I just think that as we learn to forgive, we heal ourselves. As we learn to forgive, the stress in our bodies release. As we learn to forgive, we live a happier, healthier life. Like I said, it doesn't mean that you have to walk up to that person and say, I forgive you for the things you did to me. You have to forgive them in your heart, and then you have to forgive yourself, because I know that you beat yourself up, that you allowed it. Give yourself grace. Give yourself grace. Get through it. Figure out a way. You can even take yourself and you can write a letter to that person and you can express exactly how you feel. They don't have to ever get the letter. Take the letter, burn it, throw it in the ocean, do something with it. But write it down. Tell them, but tell them for you, not for them. They don't need to know. Just because you forgive them, that doesn't mean that they're going to be like, oh, yeah, good, they forgive me, so I'm going to be, the greatest person on this planet Earth. No, the forgiveness has to be for you and you alone. Because even if you tell someone you forgive them, most of the time, those people, if they hurt you that bad, they don't really care. That's not who they are. So listen, do me a favor. Get yourself a pen and paper. If someone's hurt you or you're going through something, write down that hurt, write down that pain, write down that, yes, I can forgive them and I forgive myself and I give myself the grace to forgive and give myself the grace to go on and tear it up, burn it up, frame it, do whatever you need to do to help you because I want to see everybody be happy. I want to see everybody live the best life that they can. I want to see a smile every day when I walk outside with someone else. And it's so hard because people hold on to so much of the past trauma and hurt and anger that they just can't get on with their life and you stay stuck. Don't stay stuck. Keep going forward. I always tell you this, we're not on this planet Earth for a very long time. Please don't let someone else let your life be miserable because of something they did to you. Let it go. Figure out a way to heal from it. Figure out a way to forgive them and a way to forgive yourself. I hope everybody has an amazing day. I babble sometimes, I know, but I'm telling you what's on my heart. And what's on my heart right now is forgiveness. And I know if I don't continue to heal from forgiveness, then the trauma is going to stay there and I'm not going to be the light that I want to be in the world. I hope that everybody has an amazing evening. Remember, you're not struggling alone. We all go through struggles. We all can get to a strength. I hope that you know that by hearing these 78 podcasts that I have. This will be 79 now, that you can get through anything because you've listened to a lot of things that people have been through that have gotten to a strength. It doesn't mean that every day we wake up and our strength is there and we are like the most powerful people in the world. What it means is that we've gotten to a strength. We have some tools to use to get us through our days, and we talk to people about our struggles. I hope you all stay blessed. Love you all. Bye.